Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk About It, Steph. Today is Let's Talk Politics tonight. I have a special guest, it's Dale tonight, and we also will have Walter coming on later on tonight. So thank y'all for coming in, and welcome to Let's Talk Politics tonight. Let me bring on my host, Dale Frey. Y'all know him. He has been hanging out with us for the past couple of weeks. Hi, Dale.
Hey, how you doing?
How is your day going?
It's going okay. It's going. I tried my best to not watch the TV last night, but of course, I kind of tuned in and then I tuned out and went a little bit back and forth. But yeah, there's been a lot of going on. It's been interesting to watch the House today and the censuring process that's been going on with Green. But we'll probably get on to that very soon. But aside from that, in terms of just generally how the day is going, the weather down here in Texas is actually nice right now. We only have two seasons down here in Texas. We got summer and we got winter. Winters are very short and summers are very hot. But right now, it's actually pretty nice outside. We had some crazy wind gusts the other day, but we survived that, and now it's really nice outside. So go for a walk while you can.
Oh, that is awesome. Okay, let's see how to do this.
But what about you? Before
Well, let me tell you, it was totally crazy. We had hi. I'm gonna add you on in a second. Okay. Yeah, it was really crazy. I went into work yesterday and all the alarms were going off. And by the time I made it to my location and stuff, they said the lights went out. So all the computer systems went down. So I had a fun time trying to bring the computers up and get stuff going. So yesterday was fun time. The wind was extra strong. I never thought that I would have to use my foot to open up my car door. Yeah. So it was a fun, interesting day there. Well, hello, Mr. Walter. Welcome to Let's Talk About It Politic Wednesday. How are you doing?
Doing great.
All right. Well, Walter, we're gonna get started. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. Having a little technical difficulties, but we're gonna make it work tonight. Tonight, we're gonna talk about what happened yesterday. I know a lot of people were boycotting watching um, him speak. I'm just gonna call him speak last night. Um, I avoided it. I started watching Roland Martin last night and listening to what how they want to line everything up. So I got some great information on that. But early this morning, I was on YouTube and I was looking at some stuff and I seen what was going on. And I just want to start off with Mr. Al Green. He is one of our Texas congressmen up here, and I am so very proud of him. He stood up alone and a man with a cane, but he is a strong individual. And he got up there and stood up for everybody. Of course, no one stood up with him, but later on, Jasmine Crockett, she wound up leaving, and along with several other Congress people that were there. And I want to just say, hey, Thank you. Thank you for standing up for the people, because the people need strong people like you to stand up for what's right. I know that both were criticized for what they had done, but at the end of the day, somebody needs to be criticizing what's going on in the White House, because enough is enough. I think we all have had enough of the craziness that's going on, and especially the disrespect. I thought last week was going to be the end of it, and this week it's like it's more. So kudos to Representative Al Green and Jasmine Crockett for standing up for the people. We still need more people to stand up and say what's, speak up for the folks, because at the end of the day, we got federal workers that are losing their jobs, and we have Medicaid, Medicare, and food stamp people who get food stamp is and they're finna not get it. So thank y'all for what y'all do for us. Dale, what you got to say today? I'm finna bring you on.
To be said. Also, let me know if my volume needs to be increased on my microphone. Um, at this point, it just kind of feels like we're being trolled. Honestly, that was the only thing going through my head almost that entire time. I tried to not watch. I did tune in. I tuned in and tuned out. I hit a certain point of anger where I just kind of tuned out for a bit there, and then then I felt disconnected, so I started tuning back in. But I did see what happened there with Green. Um, and speaking of Green, I want to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, because Marjorie Taylor Greene, in the previous State of the Union with Joe Biden, I don't know if you remember this. She walked towards the area with carrying a balloon. Now, the balloon politics was from a thing back in the day. Um, in theory, there was a weather balloon that was considered to be potentially spying on people. And there was a whole to do back in the day. It's incredibly stupid because, in the reality, everyone has satellites. Every country has satellites in space. Like, the balloon's not a big deal. Anyways, Marjorie Taylor Greene has caused all sorts of ruckus in the past. Marjorie Taylor Greene did that balloon thing. And then, notably, she shouted the word liar when President Joe Biden at the time mentioned that some Republicans aimed to cut Medicare and Social Security. And then she and other Republicans interrupted Biden when he talked about topics of immigration, Social Security, and Medicare spending and the debt ceiling. And then similarly in 2022, Green, along with other Republicans, disrupted the speech chanting, "Build the wall, build the wall, build the wall," while Biden discussed immigration policies. So there have been all sorts of rhetoric and chanting and jeering by Republicans in the past. But we've never seen Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert kicked out in the past when they've done these things. And it's so insane to watch uh, Mike Johnston stand there and call the what's his name the
The
arms
Sergeant
person,
of Arms.
sergeant of arms, on an old man with a cane, claiming that they need to establish quote unquote order. It's like it's an old man with a cane. Like, the worst he did was just stand there and speak some mouth words. He wasn't even yelling very loud, unlike Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lowell Boebert back in the day. And yet somehow this old man with a cane has to be kicked out. And then we got to spend the entire day today. I don't know if you've been watching the House of Representatives. They're now trying to censure Green over what happened last night. It's definitely, it definitely seems that uh, there's a lot. It just feels like we're being trolled at this point. Honestly, Republicans can get away with this kind of stuff. They do it all the time. They yell angrily. They thump their chest. But if, dear gosh, an old Democrat with a cane simply says some things they don't like, they lose their minds. And it's really frustrating, and it really shows how one party is not like the other, for sure. But I'll hand this off to Walter. Walter, I'm not sure if you watched it last night. I didn't see all of it yet, but did you have a chance to see any of the craziness and the foolishness that happened last night?
Uh, I had it on. Uh, I had it on in the kitchen. My wife had it on in the bedroom. We'd go back and forth. It was as she said, it was really long and and very distasteful. Uh, I
Yep.
Are you there?
Oh, I think he might have froze up. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
He does look a little bit frozen. But yeah, no, I agree. Actually, I'm going to agree with Walter with how long it was. It's also why I haven't actually gotten to watching all of it. It's about 2 hours long, I believe, a little bit more. Is that normal? I'm blanking now on how long Joe Biden was with his last State of the Union. I mean, it could just be that it felt long. It definitely felt really long, right? But that's also because it's kind of hard to watch, to be honest, right?
It was definitely hard to watch. That exactly.
computer. I have no idea why. Uh, I went upstairs to check my router and modem. Everything's fine. Uh, yeah, I'm, 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 I'm get out of the computer program. Uh, just turn it over to you and Dale for a while.
But is not well met. It's not well met at all because a lot of the veterans are getting pissed off over this because veterans are getting hurt by what Doge is doing. So it's interesting to see, and it's a pleasant feeling to see people speaking up and speaking out. Now, again, like you said, I wish it was before the past election. I wish people could take that energy and channel that into their vote. But I do expect that we will have a blue wave in this upcoming midterm, giving the pain that people are feeling and given how they are very much showing the pain that they are in. But I'll hand this off back to you, Steph. And I also see that Chris is back online as well. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, what's up, Dale?
How you doing?
Stephanie, Walter, doing good. Oh, no problem. No, it's going good so far.
Yeah, right before we got on, I was playing with my mouse earlier, and now my mouse is dead. So I'm like, oh Lord, I'm gonna have to do everything by hand. So y'all, please forgive us. I promise next week it'll be better.
You have to use that little pad on your laptop with your finger. And
Yeah. Dell had to help me out. I'm like, I'm used to clicking and copying with my mouse, and now I'm having to do things with my finger. I'm like, what is this?
hey, that's a whole other skill set.
Right, right. Well, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. Didn't do a whole lot. Just kind of, took it easy. Is about it.
Okay, great, great. Well, we have been discussing what has been going on like last night with the with him. I'm calling him him. He had to talk to the country or to his people,
The
you know,
idiot.
and it was several, if they fact checked him, I bet you it was over 60 lies that he was saying within 15 minutes.
Oh, at
I
least.
didn't watch it. I did watch Roland Martin and to
That
see
was awesome.
what's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You saw William Barber's speech.
Oh my God,
That,
that
that
was
yes.
amazing. It
Yes. That
was
was phenomenal.
amazing. Well, it was definitely a whole lot better than what it was uh that versus watching that him.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I was telling people, I'm like, don't watch it. We want to make the ratings go down. Watch on YouTube. Everybody's gonna be blasting it over and over again. Just don't watch it. Don't watch it. Let's watch Rolling.
Yeah. Yeah. Roland was lit last night. I mean, that was, yeah.
Yeah. So it was really good. And I'm so proud. Like I was telling the folks earlier, I am so proud of our Texas two steppers. Our Congressman Al Green and Jasmine Crockett. Congressman Al Green, of course, was escorted out. They called Sergeant of Arms to escort him out. And I'm like, Dale, you were messing with an elderly person with a cane. What harm is he going to do by telling you, hey, take care of Medicare?
Yeah.
But you escorted him out. But when Marjorie Taylor Bat Bill was up there, and she was speaking, oh, they didn't do that to her. It was okay. So I'm like, sometimes I just want our party to make sure they do the right thing with everybody across the board. It doesn't matter what side you're on. If you're being disrespectful, then you need to suffer the consequences, everybody. But to single one person out and then you go look at this group of people and say they're not going to smile, they're not going to clap, no matter what I say, they're not going to be happy. I'm like, that's
I mean,
really not something that you're supposed to be saying anyway. You're supposed to tell us what you plan on doing. What have you done besides torch the whole United States federal government? I don't know. I'm
absolutely.
just
And
on my soapbox tonight, y'all.
hey, no, I understand. I understand. I definitely agree. Maybe if he did some good things, he might deserve some applause, but he hasn't and doesn't have any intention on doing any good things.
I know. Did y'all see when he had that little young guy? I didn't even catch his name. The one that was suffering with cancer and he wanted to be a police officer. So he wound up making him a FBI agent.
No, I didn't see that.
Go look at the clip.
That's
It
sad.
is, yeah. I mean, I'm
That's
happy
really.
for the young man for fulfilling a wish, but I don't know. I just feel a certain kind of way. Of course, they drag Democrats for not clapping for the young man and everything, but you have to understand why they didn't stand up. Him cut the program, the research for cancer. So why would
Yeah,
you be sitting up here clapping for this young man that suffered with cancer? He may or may not be in remission, but he's suffering, and you're gonna be okay with, oh, let's go ahead and fill a wish instead of trying to make sure programs are in place so that maybe he can make it. But
absolutely, absolutely.
him do things that we don't like all the time and he wants to get credit. I'm like, when he comes on, I need to take Tylenol before I listen to him.
I turn the channel. I turn the channel.
There's also a certain level of patheticness that I see here. And when I say patheticness, I mean just like the meeting with Vladimir Zelensky, Trump is mad for not getting thank yous. Trump is mad, not even about like what Democrats are doing, but what Democrats are not doing, as if somehow we're obliged to praise him. And if he doesn't receive praise, he gets upset. That's a pretty fragile thing to be upset about. I mean, that's what I would call a snowflake right there. You got to be a snowflake if you're mad that someone's not saying, "Good job, let me give you a pat on the back." You're supposed to earn praise, not expect it. And Trump is clearly expecting it and truly getting butthurt when he does not receive it. So it's a certain level of patheticness that I see there as well, or maybe I should even say a certain level of fragility, I guess, that is
Or
really being shown here.
just call it childish. I mean, that's just what it is. The man's overgrown 7-year-old.
Yeah,
He's like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be good, but it's just not.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
I mean, he's like a toddler in a pamper.
yeah,
You know how you have
literally.
to just tell, okay, Johnny, I need you. And I'm sorry, y'all, if your name is Johnny. I apologize, but I'm just using this as an example. You know how you have to tell Johnny, I want you to eat your peas. Eat your peas, Johnny. Oh, you don't want to eat your peas? Okay, let me give you something else. Oh, that's a good boy. And you're not supposed to be up there like, Johnny, eat your peas or you're not getting anything else. Period. Let's move on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's, and then everybody that falls in line with that is just like, I mean, it's just sickening to watch.
Exactly. I'm ready for folks, especially I'm ready for, first of all, I'm ready for the Democrat Party, the ones that already are standing up. Kudos, keep doing what you're doing because there's too many people that fought and died for us to
Yes,
have freedom. And that's
yes,
on both sides because there were people on the other side too that was fighting for us too. They just wasn't the MAGA. You
right,
know, they
right.
were people that cared about other individuals. Now it looks like people are just selfish and they don't care about your neighbor.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, wow, wow. I mean, you're okay watching the everything crumble around you, but as long as you got your mansion or your underground bunker or whatever that you can go into, you know, hell everybody else. I mean, that's what it seems like it's devolved into.
Yeah, it's like, where do we go from here? And that's like the question that a lot of people are asking. I've been asked that a ton of times this week, and I'm like, the only thing I'm gonna tell you to do is to continue to call your reps, call your
Yes.
congressmen, call your senators, stay on them about standing up for your rights because it the word is, if we don't get something fixed within the next 6 months, it's over. And I
Yeah.
refuse. I'm a fighter. I
Yeah.
refuse to go down without a fight because I
Right.
want to make sure that I'm on the right side of history. And I know y'all do too. We just
Oh,
have to
yes.
have a bunch of
Yes.
other people that wants to be on the right side of history because this is history, y'all. This is
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And also in terms of where we go from here is there's two things. One, keep going to the town halls. We're doing a really good job at showing up at town halls. And two, this is more of a Florida thing, but there's two special elections coming up. Special elections in Florida. If we can
Yep.
get those two seats, we'll bring. We will not gain the House entirely. I think we will tie the House, and the tiebreaker, of course, will be the vice president. So it'll still be under Republican control. But there's another special election coming up in New York. So April, the very beginning of April, is when the two special elections in Florida are happening. And then
Yes.
after that, I think in November, I believe there is another special election in November in New York somewhere. If we get that seat, I'm not quite sure. I have to do the math, but I think we might flip the House. But granted, how much damage can they do between now and April and between now and November? I'm not quite sure. Unfortunately, they've been moving pretty quickly. They've been moving a lot. They've been moving a lot faster this time around. So, but yeah, to answer your question in terms of where we go from here, keep showing up to town halls, and also make sure that everyone knows. If you have any neighbors in Florida, make sure they know they have a special election coming up in April. And same thing for those who live in New York.
Hey
Right.
Dale, hey Stephanie, I wanted to encourage everybody to this is if you haven't read this book already, here's a great book that Martin Luther King wrote, and it is very relevant to our time. I mean, this book is timeless. I mean, you read this, and everything he was talking about then is very relevant today. So this will answer a lot of questions on where we go from here. So I encourage everybody to get this book, and it is so full of like encouragement as to what we have to deal with going forward. So I just wanted to just I got done reading it on Sunday, and yeah, so I highly recommend it.
Okay. Definitely. We want to definitely shout that out. Who's the author of that one?
That's Martin Luther King. That no, he wrote this.
Okay. Because you
Yep.
know how they have those ghostwriters writing about it. So that's amazing. I want to make sure I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just no. He wrote this. He wrote this year before he was assassinated.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Must read. Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Can you believe that was written, what, over 60 years ago?
Yes. Yes.
And here we are in 2025, and we're still saying the same
Yes.
thing. Where do we
Absolutely.
go from here? I
Yep.
know when Reverend Martin was up there and he was talking about on the mountaintop, I know he was not, he probably is turning over in his grave right now if he's seeing what this country has turned into. And to those of y'all who are serving in the federal governments that's still on the job, and those of y'all that are military folks, my heart and prayers go out to you all, especially the Navy, because our counterparties have said that they're not going to fill the Navy ships. So I
I
hope we
heard
have a
that.
plan. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I heard something like that. I'm like, what? They're not
Yeah,
going to. They're not going to. They're not going to provide fuel to the carriers. Is that? Am I?
exactly.
Okay. Wow.
That's the craziest thing. I know I'm gonna
That's
have to
totally
wind up
insane.
trying to get one of our military people on here one and talk about what they can. Maybe I'll get the retired ones to talk because I don't want the active duties on here, but we got to speak up for them because I know those that want to say something but can't because they're in the uniform. Something got to be started. We have got to make sure our military people are taken care of as well because they're the ones who protect the country because they took an oath. I don't care
Yes.
what him says, the
Yeah.
military took an oath.
Yep.
And that you can't change that. I don't care what you say you're gonna do.
Right.
You cannot change that. He got rid of all the generals that would push back. He did get rid of those folks, fired them, and I can't believe they let that happen. But we got to keep our military families and those that are overseas in prayers because I know they want to do something, but it's not much that they can right now. If they are doing something, we won't know about it, and we probably don't need to know about it.
Right.
Take care of yourself out there.
Yeah, that
Yeah. Well,
reminds me. I'm sorry.
just real quick. I've got a buddy of mine. His son's at the Naval Academy, and his son told him most of everybody he knows in the Navy, they can't believe Trump. People, they can't believe Trump. They can't believe Trump won. They're like they're just as dumbfounded as we are.
Yeah, and also before I forget, help me remember to invite Ernest Lineberger on here because I know was in the Navy for a while there, and he's a
Yep.
retired Navy guy.
Yep.
But also Walter, I'm not sure if you have your microphone fixed or not, but I know that up in Wichita Falls we have, I believe it's Shepherd Air Force Base.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how this. So I think you've touched on it briefly before and how the effects of the Trump administration on, or at least potential effects of the Trump administration on Shepherd Air Force Base up there.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep, actually, you're coming
Yes.
through very clear.
Okay.
Yep.
NATO is meeting in about 10 days here at Shepherd Air Force Base. to discuss continuing or not continuing the Euro NATO Joint Jet training program here at Shepherd. And if that were to pull out, uh, it would devastate Wichita Falls.
Oh
I can't,
wow, wow.
uh, but they are actually meeting the middle of March. And last night there were two things that I listened for that I'm glad I did not hear. One thing, I was worried that he would say that the United States was pulling out of NATO. He did not say that. And the other
No.
thing is, I worried that he was going to say that the United States was going to pull out of the United Nations. And he did not say that. So uh, I got a little reprieve from what I had really anticipated that might be said. And I'm just hoping that Congressman Ronnie Jackson uh, will make sure that we don't pull out of NATO. I don't know that those fences can be mended at this point. Uh, I have posted that we are between a rock and a hard place, and that the United States has lost its uh, leadership in the world, and it will probably be for the rest of my life, and I just hope it's not for the rest of my son's life.
I hear
Wow.
you. Oh, before we start on to another subject, I want to also make sure, I'm not sure if y'all know, but one of our Congressman Sylvester Turner
I
had
saw
passed
that. Yes.
away.
Yes.
And that's the most craziest thing. He passed away in DC last night after he did a video, and they rushed him to the hospital and he passed. So my prayer, my condolence go out to the families and friends, and especially the district that he so loved, that he took over for Sheila Jackson Lee. And I'm like, we are losing some amazing trailblazing
Yes.
people, you know. And my heart goes out to Houston because he was I look at him as the Texas mayor. He was the people mayor,
He was. He
because
was. Yes.
he definitely was one of those mayors that was in the trenches with the people. He always fought hard for his Houston folks. Regardless of what people say, he was a good guy. And my first time meeting him was at the convention last summer, and he, with me being a first time candidate, he gave me some great advice that I will always cherish. And every time I would see him after that, he was just such a friendly, wonderful person and stuff, and he will be truly missed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um. Wow. I mean, that's great. You had a chance to meet him in person. Um.
Yes.
That's really sad. I remember during especially like during 2020. I mean, he was you know he was going to bat for Houston. I mean, he was, like you said, he was in the trenches. And you could really see that he was trying to do the right thing for the city.
Uh-oh. Chris, you done froze up.
Oh, did I freeze up?
No,
Yeah,
I see him.
I think we taking turns tonight freezing up. It must probably been bad winds that were blowing through here.
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay, all right. No, I was just saying that, Sylvester was the man. I mean, he was. I mean, they had him a lot during COVID, and I was like, man, no, this brother's on his job. So I mean, I've always been very impressed by him.
Right. You know what? If I was to run for mayor or something, like, if I ever, whatever I do decide to do in my political career, he is one of those ones that I would want to somewhat emulate some of the things that he did do for the people, because you're right. He was so for the people. It didn't matter if they were somebody that was sleeping on the streets. He was out there with them, trying to take care of Houston. Houston is really huge. And
Yes.
I'm like, I take my hat off to him. But you know what, Chris, y'all? He was a well dressed cowboy.
Yes.
He now, when I go to Houston, I want to put on my cowgirl hats and my boots and go do the two step with him. He was awesome. He was an awesome person.
So yeah, so that's
Now I'm gonna go get me a new black hat now, just for him, in memories of him.
hey, I might do the same.
Yeah, they're getting ready to have the Texas rodeo in Houston. I think it's at the end of this month or something. I'm not certain.
Okay.
Yeah. So y'all, okay. So we done talked about our poor Congressman Al Green. No, he's not poor. He is amazing. I'm
Yes.
proud of him.
Hey, you know
And
what?
uh-huh.
I ain't mean to cut you. I'm sorry. When Trump was elected the first time, he's the first one that did the proposed articles of impeachment. It started with Al Green.
Well, Al Green had already said that he's already starting the impeachment proceeding. So he finna add on. So he finna get impeached again. But I hope that the Congress decides to go ahead and impeach him and get him out. But I know we don't have the numbers to get him out. We
Yeah.
just don't. So I'm hoping that one of our ex presidents step up and do something,
Yes.
because there's
Yes.
certain things that they can do, because they still get briefed. So
Okay.
I'm hoping that one of them step up. Barack Obama, step up. Just saying, I'm gonna put that out
Yeah.
there in the air. Step up, sir. We need you.
Yep.
We need you. So, y'all, let's see what else we got going on. The I mean, it's so much. We could just literally just talk about anything. Did y'all know? Do you all know that they're trying to dissolve the education department?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that. I mean, I've got a kid, that's in college. I mean, um, most of his and he got a lot of aid to go to school. So I mean, that's very concerning.
Yeah, and I do want to remind everyone that if you kill the Department of Education, what you're really doing is you're cutting funding for education. Is really what you're doing here. I think there's a lot of right wing media outlets that want to claim that the Department of Education pushes quote unquote wokeness or whatever, but
That's so
the
stupid.
Department of Education actually does not have all that much power over our curriculums because of things like states' rights. Republicans care so much about their states' rights, especially in Texas, that pretty much it's the TEKS here in Texas is what basically controls, and the SBOE, the State Board of Education, is what
Mhm.
controls our curriculums here in Texas. It's not really the Department of Education so much. Really, what the Department of Education mainly does is it funds our education systems throughout our country. So it really hurts us real bad here, especially in Texas, because in Texas, our public schools are already defunded as it is. And they're pushing
Yes.
the school voucher scheme as well, which will defund our schools even more. And if you kill the National Department of Education, you're just going to even further hurt the funding for our public education systems. So it's a real dark day when it comes to education, and it's a I don't know what the future looks like. It seems that Republicans are doing everything they can to hurt education.
Well,
And the craziest thing is, y'all, is that the Republicans, they have kids that go to public school, you know,
yes.
and if they're not getting kickbacks from whoever they're getting money from, they're not making that much money. You don't make money going up to in a state facility, So your child is going to a public school unless you got a lot of money and you sending your kids to a private school. Your kid is going to be affected as well. And for the rural area, where are they going to go? They're paying
Yeah,
taxes
yeah,
for another town that their kid can't even go to.
right. Well, and then the other thing is too. I mean, I know this might sound frivolous, but I mean, eventually that's going to severely impact the religion of high school football in Texas. I mean, so if you want to look at it from just that standpoint, um, you know, especially like these small towns, that's all they got,
Right.
and so that's gonna be very devastating.
Yeah. That's the highlight, and I'm like, if they really want to do something, go ahead and say, we're going to go ahead and cut football. Let's see how people change their mind then.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I, for one, I love my football, especially my college football games. I love watching that because I feel like, I have different feelings on there on the college league because they're not where the pros are at. So they're actually passionate about it. They got something that they're working towards. Everybody want to be a Heisman winner or something. I guess hopefully I'm saying it right, but that's their goal and
Yeah,
to go to combine. It's just a lot of things that are happening that we need to be focusing on. And oh, I'm sorry, y'all notice that he kept saying woke, we're gonna stop the woke, and I'm like, you're using it
what
wrong.
and like, and these people don't even know what woke is, and if you ask them what woke is, they can't tell you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Walter, Bill, how do you guys feel about yesterday? Because I mean, you can pick any subject, it was just a hot mess. I don't
yeah.
care where you start.
Yeah, I'm going to pass off to Walter in a second here, but I will say, going back to the education thing, also understand that sometimes the public education system is like largest employer, especially in some of our more rural areas. And
Yep.
Walter, you could probably talk more to this as well, because I believe that Wichita Falls has two colleges along with Shepherd Air Force Base. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, a lot of the Wichita Falls economy depends not just on Shepherd Air Force Base, but the two colleges there as well. So if we were to cut public education funding even more by killing the Department of Education, I worry what would happen to the economy over there in Wichita Falls.
That's right. In your, especially in your rural towns, the school district is the largest employer. Uh, if you lose a few kids to a private school, all of a sudden you've lost enough money for one of your teachers,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
and I'm talking about small school districts. Uh, like I said, they are the largest employer. It is your school district is where your community comes together. They come together on Friday nights for the football game. Their kids are running track. Their kids are playing on the basketball, softball,
Yep.
or baseball teams, and it brings everybody in the community together. And you start chipping away at the funding, which has not been increased by the state since 2019. And all of a sudden, you have a big problem. My daughter is a teacher in the Keller Independent School District, which is trying to split itself into a rich district and a poor district. Uh, and that split is at the emphasis of the rich district. Uh, and so there are teachers down there that are scared that they're going to lose their jobs. They're part of the fight. Homeowners in housing areas, the HOAs are hiring and paying for lawyers to try to stop this, because
Wow.
if they're in a different district, all of a sudden the home values drop.
Yes.
And so uh, she will send me every few days. She'll send me a Fort Worth Star Telegram article about it. Uh, but in your smaller communities, uh, there may not be. I mean, I think there are only private schools in 61
Yes.
out of the 254 counties of Texas.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when vouchers pass, all of a sudden you're going to have everybody start a school, whether it's in someone's living room or someone's uh, fellowship hall at church. Uh, when I was campaigning, there were churches all over Texas that were applying for zoning variances to be able to start a school there. And if you lose too many of the students from an underfunded public school anyway, you've got a big problem. And the Republicans want no supervision of the private schools.
Yep.
They don't want to see finances. They don't want to see curriculum. They don't want to see anything. They want to let them teach whatever they want to teach, and they don't want them that. They don't expect to have them take the STAR test. Uh, they've
Yep.
had testing this week, so I know that's an emphasis that the teachers uh, worry about. Uh,
Yeah.
Vouchers are going to kill public education.
Yep.
You kill the Department of Education on a federal level. They're the ones that send the funding, the extra funding to the schools for all your kids that are disabled or have a problem. Uh, and we're not just talking about someone uh, who is crippled or something like that. We're talking, as my son said, 2/3 of the kids in school are what you call a 504 kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
may,
My son was one of those.
uh, the kid may have trouble concentrating. They
Mm-hmm.
may uh, be slow at reading. They they may have dyslexia. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter had dyslexia,
Mm-hmm.
still does, and she's a teacher down in Keller. So the funding by the Department of Education federally is what supplies all the help to kids that need help in public schools. Private
Mm-hmm.
schools aren't going to bother with them.
Nope.
Nope. I agree with you on that,
Yeah.
Walter. Private schools will not help those kids that have learning disabilities, I'm so with you on that. Even if they do have a physical disability, if they have a learning disability or just need a little help with a behavior, they're not going to be, if you want to send them to, I'm going to say like Abilene or whatever Christian school or whatever, they're not going to accept them. Now, what about those kids? Because it's going to be a lot of Christian schools opening. Are you going to have it open to where, what if you're not a Christian? What if
Right,
you Muslim? What if
Yeah.
you atheist? Where are those kids going to go to school at? So we need our public schools, because our public school is like this umbrella. They take care of everybody up under that umbrella. And it's
right,
a shame that our Texas, especially with our government having a disability himself, why would you not fight
Yeah.
for that in your
That's
state?
crazy.
You're the one who pushed this voucher, which South Carolina Supreme Court judges shut theirs down. It was like no to the voucher. So of course we know our Supreme Court here in Texas, they're gonna do whatever Abbott them tell them to do.
right,
But we, the people, need to stand up and say, no, we don't want those vouchers, because I'm like this. My husband pays our taxes every year, and them taxes are high as hell. And I want to make sure that our taxes go to where it's supposed to go, to our public schools, to taking care of our police officer, wherever it's supposed to go, that's where it needs to go. It does not need to go to a private school. Kudos to those who want to send their kids to private
That's
schools.
right.
Send your kids to private school. Save a little money and put it there, but don't be hurting the public school, you know, and to pull money away from them, because we need that. We barely can even feed the kids, because they're trying to pull that away too if they
Right.
have not, to where the kids can't even eat breakfast or lunch. And
Right.
some kids,
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
bad.
Exactly.
They might not have it at home, because mom is working paycheck to paycheck, and these electric companies are not forgiving. They
Nope.
want their money when they want their
Yep.
money. And so is the water company. Bill keep coming over, and the moms and dads
Yep.
have to do what they have to do to pay for it, and sometimes they have to go a little skimpy on the food, which that's unfortunate. And that goes into you taking away food stamp. Why are
Yep.
you doing this to these people that need it? Our tax dollars paid for all of this stuff. Ask us what we want to do.
Right. Stephanie, and here's the other thing too is that okay, so these so let's say this voucher scam goes through, our property taxes are going to continue to go up. I
Yep.
mean, so they're going to continue robbing us. Um, so and those because people are like, well, shoot, how come our schools are funded? And I'm paying and my property taxes increase every year. Well, and we all know why that is, but I mean, people out in the community are like, well, shit. I mean, I'm, you know, and I think it's intentional because it's like, okay, well, it's intentionally created so people are like, well, hell, I'm paying more and more in property taxes, but the schools aren't funded properly and they keep failing. So why not cut them? So they're setting the stage to for the destruction, where people
Yeah,
are like, they're like, okay, well, they need to go then, and
Right.
yeah,
not understanding the whole mechanism behind it.
yeah, and it's a real punch in the gut too, because this is needless considering that we have a massive, massive surplus. We had a $40 billion surplus last session. We have a 30 billion surplus now. It has gone down by 10 billion. The surplus has, but that's mainly because of Operation Lone Star and how expensive that was. But we have all this
Oh
surplus, which
yeah,
is our money, our taxpayer money. Our surplus sits in Austin, and it doesn't go to our schools. And so,
yep,
therefore, our property taxes increase in order to fund our local schools. But the money is there, it's in our surplus. It's just that every time they talk about increasing the basic allotment, they always tie it to a voucher scam. And that's why the basic allotment has not been adjusted since 2019. But it's completely needless. And something I really always want to hammer home is to say it's ridiculous that we have both health and human services and our public education system is very much underfunded while we have this massive surplus. It's completely needless.
Right.
yeah,
It is. And my thing is like you say, with our taxes going to be going on. So what's going to wind up happening is people are going to be taxed out of their homes. You're
yep.
already getting HOA taxed out. So now they're going to ask, you're going to get taxed out of your home. So my question is this, where are the people going to go? You know,
Right.
I went to Northwest ISD's meeting last week, and they have had a developer there. And over here on the north side of Fort Worth, we have a huge growth increase over here. I mean, it's just busting out of the ceiling. But they said we're not going to have the issues that the Louisville ISD is having for 20, 30 years from now. But right now, we're study having growth, but you study trying to lay off 101 teachers too,
That
right?
makes no sense.
It doesn't. And I'm like, where are these? One, what are you going to do with the residents when they're taxed out? Where are they going to go? You know what they're going to do? Put them in apartments. And the apartments are expensive too, so they're more
Yeah.
expensive than you paying your mortgage.
Yep.
So where the residents are gonna go, what's gonna happen to those kids if the schools start closing down?
Yeah. Um.
So
Yeah. No. That's completely insane. And
yeah.
well, two things. It's criminal and it's racist. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, it's because um you know the number of minority kids that go to public schools. I mean, that's significant. So that's
Hmm.
just and that's just deliberately harming non-white students. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's just and they know that's who is going to disproportionately impact or negatively impact.
Right. Especially over, I can only look at Texas right now, especially over in our Dallas area, in those certain community areas, they're sitting at a disadvantage because before they even mentioned the vouchers about 4 or 5 years ago, they were already having issues in like DeSoto and South Dallas
Yep.
area and stuff, and they fought tooth and nail not to have the government come in there and try to control their school districts. So I'm like, this is nothing new. They just opened up a can of worms that they don't understand. You know what? I don't know how to kill worms, but I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna find something. I'm gonna have to put gasoline on or something. We got to do something to fight for our kids and our future generation because this is ridiculous. So if
Yeah.
anybody's out there listening to us, please make sure that you attend and join the PTA, go to the school board meetings, go down there to Austin, call your state representatives and tell them that you do not want these vouchers because I believe March 10th, I believe if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to be
Mhm.
doing another vote. So we got to shut them down because this is
Yes.
going to not only affect rural areas, it's going to affect all of us because if you pay taxes, it's going to affect you. Even if you don't pay taxes, it's going to affect if you have a child. It's going to affect that child. It's going to affect somebody in your home, somebody that you know is going to be affected by the school voucher. They're going to be affected by them taking away government assistance.
Absolutely.
Do everybody deserve to be on government assistance? I think if you're in a need and you've been trying to work like right now, those federal workers are probably going to need government assistance. We need to have that for them and they be on it for a certain amount of time, like how President Clinton had it. Like if you on housing and stuff, you own it for this amount of time and you got to show proof that you working. Go intern somewhere, work for what you want, you
Right.
know. But I don't know.
Well, well, my thing is, hey, if Elon gets public assistance, and everybody else should too. I mean, let's be.
Right.
He gets $8 million a day in public assistance, so that's the kind of welfare I want. I mean, shoot.
Me too. Can I get some? I'll build a spaceship because I'm not too liking this Earth thing. Maybe we can all go fly up to the moon.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous though. But Walter, what you got to say tonight?
Well, I'm going to close with something that you're going to be interested in. The Department of Education enforces Title IX.
Yes.
Hmm.
Without Title IX, all of a sudden we got a lot more problems.
Yes.
Title IX goes back to when I was young. I worked at a law firm briefly,
Okay.
and there was a secretary who was about she was about 6'4", and she had not gone to college. And Title IX was passed, and all of a sudden she got a basketball scholarship to college, and it changed her life. Uh, Y'all, everybody needs to look at what Title IX does. because
Yes.
it does a lot, and
Yes.
it's the Department of Education that enforces Title IX. And I'll let y'all wind up the evening.
Yep. Hey, Walter, just a quick question, and that's if I'm correct, that's part of the Civil Rights Act, Title Nine.
I think it is.
Okay.
It was passed in the uh, I want to say the middle '70s.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we definitely gonna have to talk about Title Nine. I'm gonna tell y'all like this here. I'm gonna let y'all have your last say for tonight. But we definitely need to work together. And some people don't want to cross over. Shake their hand and tell them pull over. But I'm telling y'all, there are some people that's on the other side. They're not gonna say it, but they gonna have our backs hopefully at the end of the day, because it's gonna get worse. They're gonna have to come over some kind of way. We need to build a bridge where we are all crossing that bridge together and joining hands and standing up to what's going to get ready to happen, because I've never lived in Europe, so I'm not used to a king and all that. But if we don't fix this now, I'm not kneeling or bowing to no king except for God. I'm not bowing down to him, period. So, yeah, we got to
We
stand up together,
Yes.
all of us, not just
Yes.
one group of people. Let's get rid
right,
of this side and that side. We got to work together, because at the end of the day, our children are watching us and they're trying to see what did we do to fight for their future.
Exactly. On an interesting note, guys, I got a letter, I got an email from a Republican precinct chair. She sent it to all the Democratic precinct chairs and said, "Hey, can you help us on this school on this voucher thing?" And I was shocked. I was like, "Wow." Um, my first thought was like, "Okay, what did you think was going to happen when you voted for these people in the first place?" So,
They were
I
drinking
mean,
the Kool-Aid.
yeah, I was. That's what I wanted to say, but I just okay, fine. Come, we're all in this together, so we have to help each other out. But that's what immediately that was my initial reaction. Like, okay, like so now you're concerned.
Let me ask you this question. I ask all of y'all this. Do you think that maybe we should go through different cities and incorporate several other people into this and have a huge town hall, regardless of who's on what side? Because they got to know, and we got to know how to stand up and move forward. What do y'all think about that?
I like the idea. I think at the same time
Yeah,
too, we've seen some of the town halls recently, and like for example, the one with Keith Salt that we were talking about a little bit ago. A lot of people are really upset right now, and
Yeah.
so
yeah,
it may be difficult. People are so upset that things just kind of turn into yelling. Whenever you have like a Republican representative there, because Democrats are very very angry with good reason. But no, absolutely, I think we should try and do whatever we can. But in terms of winding down, I will say, as one last reminder, please, 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 one, keep showing up to town halls. And
yes,
then two, the special elections are coming up. April 1st, two special elections in Florida. November, another special election in New York. If we can get
yes,
those, we might be able to flip the House. It's going to be tough, but we got to make sure that our neighbors, if you have any neighbors or friends who live in Florida or New York, make sure they know, because special elections are difficult. Special elections, I tell you guys, most people have no idea they're even happening.
yes.
When it comes to
Oh,
Right.
special elections and runoff elections, a lot of people have no idea, because there's a lot of people who turn off the news, and
yeah,
for obvious reasons, and so they're not going to be informed. And every election is an opportunity for change. And so make sure, if you have any friends who live in Florida or live in New York, make sure they know that these special elections are coming up.
yeah. And let me add to that too. Wisconsin Supreme Court election. That's important too. Because if we can get that one, that gives Democrats a 5-2 majority in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I mean, that's a battleground state. So
Okay.
That's also significant.
Well, y'all know what time it is. It's time for us to wrap this bad boy up. And we're
Yep.
gonna meet again on next Wednesday. This was great talk, and we need to just keep on having an open mic and talk about this Politic Wednesday on next Thursday. On next Wednesday, I'm already past the
Yeah.
days,
Oh, you
y'all.
ready? You ready for next week?
Let me tell I have such a busy week. Next week is crazy. I'm supposed to be going to Austin sometime next week. And once I leave Austin, I come back, I think one day, and then I'm flying out to Miami. So y'all keep me in prayer. But we still gonna have our little uh, conversation about whatever's going on, because you know what? I can't make this stuff up. He's going to do something to have us. We're going to have great content. That's all I can say. But y'all keep your head up, keep reminding people about these special elections, and calling your reps and letting them know where you stand at. So thank y'all for coming on to Let's Talk About It, Steph. We'll be back next Wednesday at 7 p.m. See you then. Y'all have a good night.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Good night,
thanks
guys.
for putting this
Okay.
on. Great job.
Thank you. Good night.